Good morning, beloved community of faith. Today I want to talk to you about something fundamental to the human experience, which I believe many of you experienced just this morning as Judy was reading Psalm 19. Did you see it? Did you feel it? At that moment when she was reading that, the sun broke through the clouds and the coloration up here was transformed. I'm getting goosebumps just recalling it. And may we recall it again and again and again. May we look for it. May we search for it. May we be and become purveyors of it, that we can provide it for others, so that all may know, not just believe, may know, have faith, deep, steadfast faith of how great God is. Finding that meaning is something that's unrelenting. It's a hunger that's deep inside of us. We are, as some have called us, meaning mongers. It is woven into our being. And when we lose sight of it, we feel the loss deeply. Henry Wisemeyer, in an article, The Death of Awe in the Age of Awesome, The Death of Awe in the Age of Awesome, observes that as traditional spirituality wanes, experience itself, experience has become the new faith. We seek profound encounters. We yearn for awe. And we have become, as he puts it, refugees of the mundane. We chase the transcendent through travel, through art, through boundless consumption of what is new, because we long to alter our perceptions. We long to recapture a novel way of seeing the world. This longing is not new. It is deeply human. It is deeply ancient. People have sought dreams and visions to commune with the divine and to create bonds with the spiritual and between the spiritual and the natural worlds for centuries, possibly even for millennia. It is the same impulse that drives our search for God. F. Scott Fitzgerald spoke of a transitory enchanted moment. Think about that, a transitory enchanted moment. That feeling of instant when we are compelled to artistic contemplation, we are faced with something that is so beyond ourselves, something beyond our capacity for wonder. Carl Sagan put it another way. He said, understanding is a kind of ecstasy. We are, in essence, wonder junkies. But there is a tension here. Because while we hunger for those encounters, while we long for the mystical experience, we also know deep in our bone that our words often fail us. Gustav Flaubert once lamented that human speech is but a kettle on which we tap crude rhythms. A kettle on which we tap crude rhythms while we long to make music that will melt the stars. A cracked kettle on which we tap to make crude rhythms while we long to make music that will melt the stars. Our language fails to capture the mystical, but music melts the stars. And yet, even in our failed language, meaning finds a way. As the psalmist tells us, the heavens herald your glory, O God. The skies display your handiwork, which is when the skies opened, when the sun broke through those windows, as Judy was reading this morning. The skies display your wonder work. Day after day, they tell your story, and night after night, they reveal the depth of their understanding. Without speech, the psalmist says, without words, without even an audible voice. Their cry, whose cry? God's creation's cry echoes through all the world, and their message reaches the end of the earth. See, meaning is not always spoken. Sometimes it's whispered through the sights, through our senses, through sounds, through experience, through awe, or as we discovered this morning in our adult ed, through the group experience of breaking the ice with one another, of untapping those memories of those meaningful experiences. Brother David Steidl-Rast tells us, it is through wholehearted living that meaning flows into our lives. Through wholehearted living, that meaning flows into our lives. When we pay attention, when we listen for the sacred in all of our experiences, meaning is not something that we grasp, but it's something that flows, something that finds us, and it finds us over and over and over again. And prayerfully, with God's help, each time we get closer and closer to experiencing, to feeling, to knowing, maybe even to putting words to that meaning, or maybe even to being able to share with others that meaning, and then it cracks us open too. The search for meaning is not about finding one answer and being done with it. As the psalmist says, day after day, they tell their story, and night after night, they reveal the depth of their meaning and of their understanding. Meaning is alive. It speaks anew in each season of our lives. So yes, both the faith of a child and the wisdom of an elder, and both of them being mixed together in a delicious dish of wholehearted living. But what do we do with it? How does it shape us? The gospel tells us that when Jesus was baptized, the heavens were open. You know where else that happens? In creation. The same word is used. The heavens were opened, and a spirit descended. And a voice said, "This is my son, the beloved." with whom I am well pleased. A moment of mystical experience. Jesus himself understood this meaning. Jesus himself often grasped that meaning through metaphor. He tells us stories of everyday life using everyday language. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, like yeast, like a treasure, like a merchant, like a net, like a landowner. Why? Because meaning is something that meets us where we are. And the divine meets us in our world through water, through bread, through wine, through the rising sun, the breaking through of the clouds, through flowers in the crack of a sidewalk, through the tangible that we can touch and see and feel and experience and know that it has meaning. This is why ritual matters. This is why we return again and again and again to these sacred moments, to shared meals, to the lighting of candles, to acts of remembrance. Meaning does not exist in abstraction alone. It is something that we touch, that we feel, that we live into again and again and again. Many of you know I spent 3 days in the ICU in a sealed unit, right, when I had pneumonia. And I'm not a card person, but some of you sent cards. Those touched me. Those were meaningful. They transformed me. And I'm now back to the art of writing little handwritten notes. Thank you. And thanks be to God. It took that crack of light to get through, to get me to rediscover that meaning. Perhaps the most surprising voices is the echo of this truth is from Trudy, the bag lady from the In Search of Signs of Intelligent Life in the Universe. Trudy says, and when I felt something even deeper in awe at this capacity that we have to be in awe about something, to be in awe about something. And I became even more awestruck at the thought that I was in some small way a part of that which I was in awe about. Do you see that? Do you feel that? Do you get that? You are a part of that something of which you are in awe about. And this feeling went on and on and on, she says. My space chums, if you know the book, her friends, got a word for it. Awe infinitum. Because at that moment, you are the most in awe of all. You don't understand. You're closer to understanding it at all and at any other time, but you don't understand. And I felt so good inside. My heart felt so full. I decided to set time aside each day to do aerobics. Instead of aerobics, set aside time each day to do aerobics. Exercise that muscle. Dig your fingers in the dirt. Have coffee or tea with a friend and talk about awe, talk about wonder, talk about the meaning that we find all throughout life, and exercise those spiritual muscles. Aerobics. Friends, we need aerobics. We need to cultivate practices of paying attention, of allowing ourselves to be astonished, to live wholeheartedly into the mystery of it all. And when we do, when we allow meaning to find us, we hear that still small voice whispering through the heavens, "You are my son, my daughter, my child, in whom I am well pleased. You are my beloved." May we pay attention, listen, and be astonished. And may we allow meaning to find us by living into the mystery again and again and again. Amen. Amen.